Hello, kind people, it's me, Lemoni, and happy Friday. What do I have for you today? I want to talk about medium RE healing. All right, what is medium RE healing? You are a healer in a medium build who is using refreshing evasion. What's going on right now in New World? If you aren't aware and you've been living under a rock, there's a lot of one-shot blunderbuss combos. So you can see people with sword and shield blunderbuss. You can see, and I've been playing it. I'm sorry, just for fun. You see people with blunderbuss void gauntlet. You see people with great axe blunderbuss, and this is the one that's the biggest problem in my opinion. Blunderbuss ice gauntlet, blunderbuss fire staff. I've even seen people one-shotting with blunderbuss hammer. There's a one-shot build and massive AoE build for everything under the sun that is Grav and Blunderbuss. And so right now, as a light armor healer, you are not in a good spot because with the current Gravwell bug that's not getting fixed until the next patch, Gravwell is exploding 3 times, each of which can crit, and you can get shirking procs on that exploded even harder. Meaning, a light armor healer, like a lot of us right now, are getting caught in a Gravwell like we normally would, and when you have no defensiveness up, or you're trying to do anything, or you get chain Gravwelled, just the Gravwell alone will kill you. They can put you in the Gravwell and walk away and you can die. It's pretty likely. And then on top of that, they'll catch you in a Gravwell, then shoot all the blunderbuss stuff inside, and then you can't get out. Even if you riposte it, sometimes you riposte that first tick of something, like an explosion, and then you just get killed by the rest of it. And then you don't have anything for the next follow-up. Even if you get out of that, you don't have anything for the next follow-up. So what have I been playing? Well, before we get into that, hit the socials down below. If you want to ask me any questions, have any questions on this build, any other build, or just general New World questions, hit me on my live stream on Twitch. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m.-ish Central Time. I go for about 4 to 5 hours. But yeah, this build is a medium RE build. Why is medium the one I chose? Well, one, you don't die from the one-shot combo, which is pretty nice. But two, RE is very, very, very nice when you are in medium armor. And so what actually is refreshing evasion, if you don't know, it's whenever you dodge, you get cooldown reduction. Now, a lot of you know that my light builds, I do end up playing refreshing, and I'm going to eventually make a video on this because there are some things that are going to nerf RE in the next patch, and I'm curious as to how that's going to actually work out. But in a medium loadout, you can dodge a lot more because, one, the animation is quicker. You don't go as far. You don't have to play out a whole animation before your stamina starts regenerating, but it also takes less stamina to actually get the dodge off. So when you're medium armor, you can just keep, dodge, dodge, wait a sec, dodge again, and then let your bar refill and dodge, 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 and just keep dodging. And then all of your heals are also ticking cooldown reduction. You're shooting stuff like that. But medium armor, it gives you survivability. It's probably the best build to do an RE build in, and your cooldowns are just constantly up. So what builds am I actually using for this? Well, one, I'm using this in wars. I'd use it in an OPR, and it's a ton of fun to play, and you're beefy. It feels good to be beefy and not get one shot by stuff and have people just sitting there trying to kill you and can't do a single thing about it. So I'm not going to go super deep into these healing builds and how they work and give you the general deep dive. What I will say is head on over to my PvP meta video that I released, was that 2 weeks ago now, where I do the deep dive on all this and why we take it. I'm going to give you the 2 healing builds I would suggest. This is a single target build that I use in wars for dive healing. I used it very successfully in our last war. And then a blanket AoE healing build that I think is going to be the absolute best for this kind of style of setup. So 1, Absolved, we take Blissful Touch. Personally, I've stopped taking Mending Touch. Removing 1 debuff really doesn't do much when you can't choose what debuff that is, and half the time you can't really hit the target anyway. So then I take Revitalize. I take Enchanted Justice for that extra little oomph sometimes every 2 minutes to keep myself alive. Boom, 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 we're good. And then we take this. So that's our left side. This is kind of my cookie cutter left side that I now do in any single build that I'm running. In general, my all-purpose build, I go something like this. So I'll take these, and I still have 1 point. What do I do with it? I put it here. This is my, I don't think the haste is that worth, that 20% haste for 30 seconds, and I think we get way more out of a stamina bonus, and we can get another dodge in, once in a while if we take some damage. And it just makes it easier to escape, helps our teammates a little bit more. And so this is my all-purpose, what I use in OPR, what I use in war when I'm dive healing, and I feel really solid about it. Now, for my other one, this one I think is going to be a little bit better when you're running medium, if you want to get the most output possible, help your team in every single way that you possibly can, but this is going to give you a lot of AoE output. Now, why is this one so good? So we're going just into orb. I take 2 points into beacon because we're not going to need this 5 seconds longer because with how much RE we have, but also with orb of protection uptime. Now, what am I thinking here? So we can put orb of protection on so many people, and then because we're dashing back and forth, resetting cooldown, and doing everything else, we get a lot of orbs out that we can put into a lot of people that then proc desperate speed. Now this can proc, every 5 seconds, but every 5 seconds we get free 10-second cooldown reduction, and then we're constantly throwing out light attacks and we're constantly dodging. So we will always have desperate speed proccing at some point in a fight. And then we just have a lot of lower cooldown here that we can just keep popping it off. But we just have a lot of easy cooldown reduction built into the RE setup. And so you go full refreshing evasion and just keep resetting cooldowns. And it's nuts how much blanket healing you can do. Now, as far as secondaries, though, this is kind of the setup I would suggest. This is a Void Gauntlet. You'd put this on. This is for full, complete AoE healing. And otherwise, what I do is I will put my Void Gauntlet on inside of the fort or inside of an outpost, and I'll play with my rapier outside of it. And this is the rapier setup I would do. This is the one traditionally that I would do every single time. Something like this. Oop, missed one. And boom. And that's the rapier I'd suggest. But outside the fort, I play with a rapier. Inside the fort, when it's a little bit tighter and I have some more peel, I go Void Gauntlet for ultimate peel healing. It's simple. It's the healing builds we're used to. But the blanket one, I think, is a little bit better because we're a little bit thicker and chonkier that we don't necessarily need to LE all the time. But it is very nice to have that LE in the back pocket. So this is what I would say for builds when you're doing something like this. And again, if you want that deeper dive, hit up the PvP meta video I had from 2 weeks ago. All right, so I'm going to make this disclaimer a couple times because I don't want people in the comments saying, Lemoni, this isn't going to be working when the arena patch comes out. I fully understand that this will not be the optimal build setup when arena patch comes out. Okay, mediums or light will be the premier option. Why is this not going to be the premier option? The changes with how stamina reduction or stamina regen works won't function well with RE. We're getting a healing nerf in medium, and with the way that CC works and everything, and us being able to roll out of stuff, having multiplicative healing, have a higher healing effectiveness increase with light. Light is just going to be the premier option in my opinion. Can you still do it? Yeah. But what is the purpose of this build? It is to give you all some options right now with getting one-shotted by blunderbusses and everything so that you can survive, you can heal optimally, and you won't get caught in a grav well that will just one-shot you constantly over and over and over again and get locked down and one-shotted by blunderbusses. So that is the purpose of this build. I will have a dedicated section at the end talking about that because I think it is super important that I just keep bringing it up multiple times before somebody yells at me. Anyway, how do we build this setup? So you have a couple different options. For me personally, I'll just eat a food because I love all of you and I'll burn that like 40 gold. All right. My last war, I healed 350, 150. I was chilling. This is really nice to hit. If you feel like you're a little scared, I felt completely fine at 11.5k health. I did have a really solid group to peel for me. You know who you are if you were there. I do appreciate it. And it was a good time. Could you go up to 200? Absolutely. You get the increase to armor. You will be a beefcake. You can sit on points. I would say if you go for that 20% armor increase, this is way more optimal for somebody who's more of a dedicated Void Gauntlet user instead of still trying to finesse some rapier time out there. And then you can just really sit on point. I'd probably go 200 if I was on a point. 150 I'm in like main ball kind of Zergy group. That's just my suggestion. Also, if you didn't know, this perk is getting changed. If you haven't checked my patch note video, so we just keep getting flat stamina instead of it being a regen. So it's a regen that they're forcing, but it'll actually be worth. Anyway, you heal for a decent amount at 350. You could probably push 100 if you really wanted to be ballsy. But I think 150 is a solid spot where you're tanky enough where you're not getting killed by things, you're not getting one-shotted. You've got enough armor and defensiveness where you don't really have to worry. As far as gearing goes, so my gear, again, gonna preface this, my gear is really garbage for this kind of setup. Does it work? Yes. I have 2 perk stuff. My chest, it's hard to find a heavy chest with RE that fits our requirements that is not BIS that is being sold for billions of gold. So what are your options? Right now, here's how I have mine set up. I have 2 perk helmet, so I have revitalizing and refreshing evasion. I've got 2 perk gloves, refreshing evasion, accelerating lights embrace, and I have 2 perk boots, which are refreshing evasion and fortifying sacred ground. I do have a fill-in piece somewhere in here, like these. It doesn't have refreshing evasion on it, but when I do need to go mending. Pants, these are the ones out of the Tempest boxes. So if you've been keeping this here, all of those Tempest chests you get from the guy out front that's like, hey, go do this and come back to me, you can actually upgrade it. Doesn't seem like it's a piece of gear that you can upgrade, but all of those pieces, the focus set is light, and there isn't a con set that is heavy that I know of directly. Maybe I'm just dumb, but all of them will roll refreshing evasion like corrupted ward, and if you upgrade them, you get Ellie aversion as well. I think that was the rotation. Regardless, all of them are 2 perk refreshing evasion, Ellie aversion, and then there's a corrupted ward on there. It's 2 perk. It's pretty solid for your off pieces. So there's that, and then my chest is just a 1 perk refreshing evasion setup. Neck, right now in this meta, if you aren't going with a Purify in your neck, you are playing wrong. Purify will save your life over and over and over again, every 90 seconds at least, and it's super viable to have just to keep you alive. We want that Hardy Sacred Ring, lets us dodge a little bit more, increases our healing output, absolute necessity there. And then I still have my Misty Kismet. There's an earring I'm curious about that drops off in Bane's. I'm not sure if it drops at 600 or 590 plus, but it would be refreshing evasion, refreshing with refreshing toast, which would be absolute bliss. Ideally, I would have one of those earrings with those perks that I listed, but this is a pretty solid option. Otherwise, refreshing toast, refreshing evasion would be a really, really, really good option. But that is my gear. And then set up your gems how you feel you want your attribute split for defensiveness to go. I feel like I'm in a good spot here. But regardless, your defensiveness is double what it is in light. So that's the biggest thing we're getting out of this. Go Woda. Here's my rapier that I'm using. I just have one with Sundry Riposte. I'd love Sundry Riposte Keen Speed, but I'm not going to sit here blowing Asmo to roll rapiers when I don't need to. And then my Void Gauntlets. I sometimes decide to go with the Keen. Personally, I think having Keen Speed and a medium build where I can move a little bit faster than for some extra mobility, and then I have a diminishing orb on there, is kind of my PvP healing Void Gauntlet. So that's what I do for gearing. The biggest thing that you can do is get RE on as many pieces as possible. Now, why is it good to run RE? So I'm just going to show you with my general thing. You can finesse this a little bit. I'm not going to rape yourself just because I messed up in the recording just before because I'm dumb and forgot how RE works. RE only applies to your active weapon. So I'm just going to put this out, and I'm going to shoot my beacon and watch my cooldowns. This is only 6-piece RE. I'm just sitting here like this, doing some dodging. Ideally, before Sacred Ground is even gone, it's back. And then I have the extension to beacon. And again, boom, beacon is back right as it ends. I have it. And just to remind you, this is happening without even having Revitalize, Desperate Speed, or any of my refreshing move proccing. So what does that mean? This talent is probably pretty wasted and you don't necessarily need it, and you can best spend it on another spot where maybe we can get some more LE output in something like Spirits United, or we could go for a buff duration. That one's really not that great. Maybe you want some mana back. None of these are really that good, unfortunately, but pick your poison. I don't think we need it, but it might be good if you don't really have the opportunity. You're gray barring yourself, you're weapon swapping. So I think in general, it's best practice just to have that out. All right, so where does this build really excel? It allows you to dance around on point in front of everybody and just really get in there. It's something that light does not let you do, but at the same time, you can step into Grav wells and you have that tankiness to really take on, you know, the backline people who are trying to pick the healers, right? I can sit around. People just do not do that much damage. I do end up taking a full Gravwell here, no damage resistance, no riposte, no anything, and it brings me down to about 75% health. And again, I still have the output to maintain packs, maintain myself, and really get healing in there. Right now, I'm in a group healing focus build, right? If I had a lot of AoE healing, I'd be just popping off. But I can mainly keep my team alive as they're close to me and aren't, you know, stepping away. But you have so much tankiness, so much output. You just dump your cooldowns and then watch how fast things like Beacon are resetting, right? I have heals going out and then I'm just dancing around. Even without hitting additional Revitalize and refreshing moves, I'm just popping off. Now, what is my disclaimer? I've said this in the beginning, this will be a kind of temporary build for the time being. I'm going to address this again, but there's a lot of changes coming to stamina, medium healing, the way that we dodge and how stamina regen works, and it may make refreshing move or refreshing evasion a little bit tougher to use, but it's also going to make medium healing a little bit more rough. So I want to just put this disclaimer out here that I am only going to be using this build and advocate for using this build until the PvP arena patches come out. So that is my thing. But in general, this build is going to give you all of the tools that you need so that you can really succeed in the current issue of triple gravel explosion, one-shot blunderbuss, and everything else under the sun until we see the arena patch. As always, I appreciate all of you watching. Hit the socials down below and join me on Twitch one of these days, hopefully today, and let me know if you have any questions. But as always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you to every single one of you for being you. Peace.